Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Kenco F1. Today we're in America, we're in Austin, we're in Texas for the Circuit of the Americas. It's round 3 here in the Kenco F1 Championship. We've got Ferrari leading the Constructors' Championship and Torben Schut on top of the leaderboard. Today we're at Code to the Circuit of the America, which is actually the 10th different circuit to host a Grand Prix in the United States. We've got places such as Indy, we've got places such as Bathurst, but today we're at the Circuit of the Americas here in Austin with over 200 live music venues. Austin is regarded as the live music capital of the world. We'll hear some music of F1 cars out on track today. Code then, we've got 5.5 kilometers, 3.4 miles here of track today, and a grand total of 20 turns. The 2018 top speed record was 345 kilometers an hour down that enormous back straight of turns 11 to 12. Turn 1 in 2015, we saw Bottas and Rosberg, as well as Hamilton, getting caught up in some lap 1 incidents there. Let's see if any of that happens today. Turn 12 back in 2017, Hamilton goes down the inside on Sebastian Vettel. That was the race-winning move. Could this be Max Chapman versus Torben Schut in the Mercedes and Ferrari today? In the Red Bull, Verstappen and Hamilton in 2018, turns 16, 17 and 18, forces Hamilton wide and had to give that position back. It's a soft, medium, hard today. The medium is 1 second slower and the hard 2 seconds slower than that soft, but the degradation on those soft tyres will be incredibly hard to manage. Looking at this grid then, it's an interesting qualifying, but Max Chapman stuck it out on pole. It's a 131.1 for the English driver. Alongside him, the German, the only medium tyre runner in the Ferrari, is Torben Schut. Behind him, Reggie J. Hargreaves is in P3, 6/10 slower than Max Chapman, and alongside him, Ben Mitchell with his best qualifying this year. Stein Botterweg and Dylan Hartley on that third row of the grid, and behind Dylan Hartley's teammate is Archie Middelfeld. He got a 1.1 second slower lap than his teammate. It's Kevin O'Mara in P8, P9 is Ian Hammore, P10, the other Red Bull of Jay Robinson. 11th is Joel with a free tyre choice, a 133 flat for him, and Matthew McCall's alongside him. Taylor Hume, the other Williams, is behind him by 1 position. It's P13 for him, P14 for Adam Forbes. These few drivers did not qualify, so it's James Wilson and Josh O'Mara, Rafael Pio, Alberto Modenese, and behind him it's Alberto's teammate Andre Abreu. Matthew Widdowson has received a 10-place grid penalty for changing chassis parts this weekend. So, Sam, what's that going to mean for the drivers who obviously were behind him and did not qualify? Obviously, they get boosted up by however many positions they were behind Matt.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Kenco F1. And yeah, I mean, that's obviously, excuse me, 1 position gained already for free for most of the drivers if they qualified behind Matthew Widdowson in that AlphaTauri. So that's good news from the outset. Obviously not such good news for the AlphaTauri driver. He's going to have to do a lot of work now to get back through the field.
You're absolutely right here. We talked about Torben Schut being the only medium runner inside the top 10. How is that going to affect the Ferrari strategy today?
Well, I personally think it's huge. Torben Schut, as you say, one of the only medium runners, the only medium runner in the top 10. So he's going to have those tyres on for much longer than all those soft tyre runners around him. He's not going to have as quick a start as the drivers around him just because they don't have as much grip. But if you think about the longevity of the race, he'll be able to go much, much further. Yeah,
you're absolutely right here. Max Chapman in P1. What can he do leading this race? It's Max Chapman against Torben Schut. Torben Schut does not have the support of his teammate this weekend, does he?
He does not. Joel down in P11, Max up in P1. But, you know, Max is in a similar position to Torben Schut, his teammate Ian Hanmore down in P9. But, you know, Max will be keeping his head down. He knows what he has to do. It came so close to him in France. Obviously, that unforeseen circumstance with the incident under the safety car really cost him that win last weekend.
Looking at number 42 now, the AlphaTauri driver of Matthew Widdowson. He had to breach Parc Ferme to fix some damaged parts on his car. It was the chassis, I believe. We saw him all over the place in qualifying 1, and he didn't manage to make it out of qualifying 2 because of that damage. He's taken that penalty this weekend. Is that a smart decision for the AlphaTauri garage?
I think if they've seen that damage, and it was absolutely necessary. I mean, we saw the handling of that AlphaTauri out on track during the qualifying session, and it just was unbearable for the driver. So the change was completely necessary, and yeah.
And it looks like both of the Williams drivers, both Taylor Hume and Matthew M, have fallen to the rear of the grid. Maybe some issues getting off the line for them, but they've got to make their positions back to the start. They've got to make their position back to where they were, otherwise they will be penalised.
Absolutely, they need to be in the correct grid spot at the start of the race, so they're obviously going to have to get back in front on the grid.
But Alberto Modenese in the Aston Martin. He's had some sort of coming together with another driver, and he is down in P16, disqualified, and will be sitting on the grid waiting for all of these drivers. That's really not good. His tyres will be freezing down to turn 1.
His brakes and tyres will be so cold, which is not the way you want to start your race. Max is now pulling into his grid spot, so the Aston Martin has been sitting on the grid for ages.
Absolutely. If you look back to turn 1 on that replay we showed you earlier in the graphic, you saw it's about 40 feet up towards turn 1. Look at how steep that is. Who is going to be the victor and who is going to win out up to turn 1? We'll see here as the drivers approach the grid and get ready. There's 18 of them. There's 18 of them on the grid right now. Will there be 18 remaining by the end of the first lap? They're revving their engines. There's a green light. We see the lights here. It goes from red light to green light. It looks like Joel went away really early there in the Ferrari, but I'm not too sure what happened there because he had to stop and get out of the way. One of the Williams has got an amazing start there. That's Matthew McCall trying to go all the way down the inside. Max Chapman leads into turn 1. It's Reggie J. Hargreaves there, and Torben Schuss getting stuck there in those medium tyres. At the back, we've got lots of action there. I think Dylan Hartley and Archie have had a little bit of a slow start, but are coming together. Ian's all the way back down to P9 now. Adam Forbes has made it up to P10. It's Max from Reggie J. Hargreaves from Stein Botterweg, and there's a lot of spin. There's a spin. I think that's Dylan Hartley who's round through the S's, and a lot of collision there between all of these drivers.
Yeah, Ben Mitchell off the road. He had a collision there with Dylan Hartley, I believe. He was off the road coming out of turn 4. Not good news for him, and not good news for Torben Schutt down to P4. Both Alfa Romeos pipping him on the start. That medium tyre not good for the initial phase of the start.
James Wilson's trying to make around the outside of Jay Robinson here through turn 11. It's really close between these two drivers, not giving an inch to each other.
Very nicely done. Obviously, the sister AlphaTauri team fighting with the big Red Bull team, and yeah, very aggressive battling between the two, but nice and fair nonetheless.
Andrea Abreu's trying to make a move down the inside as we see Alberto Modenese in the background, just his teammate getting just so close there to James Wilson. Wow, that was like millimeters from each other.
Yes, such close battle on the first lap, but Joel down to P13, so he's obviously lost positions as well, so both Ferraris struggling on the start.
Matthew McCall sent it down the inside of Adam Forbes and managed to retain the position, but he's lagging all over the place. This is really not good for the Williams driver.
Absolutely not. He needs the best connection. As you see, he's lagged all the way back down into P14. That's going to be dangerous for other drivers as well, but lots of drivers going off the road coming around turn 20, obviously struggling with the grip at the start of the race.
Going through these drivers now towards turn 1. Max Chapman leads, but Joel Foxall has now gone to the back of the grid. What's happened for Joel?
I'm not sure. On my screen, he's still up in P12 fighting with the Aston Martin of Andrea Abreu going into turn 1 at the moment. Very close between the two. Obviously, both on those medium tyres thinking about the strategy.
And Archie's out of the session. Archie's out of the session through the S sector. There he is. That's his wheel completely gone. That'll be a safety car, no doubt.
Yeah, it's a virtual safety car by the looks of it. The stewards believe that they can get that car off without the need of a full safety car.
Well, this is played right into the hands of Ben Mitchell here in the pit lane. He's come in to fit a new front wing and new soft tyres after that incident new hard tyres after that incident on the first lap. And, I mean, he's still really far behind, 40 seconds in fact, but he's not lost anywhere near as much time as he would have under green flag conditions.
Yeah, the perfect time for a virtual safety car to come out, as you say, for Ben Mitchell, but he's very far behind, 51 seconds off the next driver, so he's got a lot of time to make up.
AWS suggests a predicted pit stop strategy of 2 stops here for the mediums and the hards for the soft runners, and thus far we've only seen 1 pit stop, so I'm not too sure what's going on with Joel there, whether that's a pit stop on my end or a broken game, or I don't know. It's F1 2020, so you'd expect anything less, but Ian Hadmore for me up into P5. That's an incredible recovery from P9 on that first lap.
Absolutely, Ian is up into P5 and only 1.8 seconds off the Ferrari of Torben Schutt, so he's had a great start, gaining 4 positions. Obviously a bit of clumsiness between the drivers into turn 1, and Ian's made the most of it.
Alberto Modenese sent a diving lunge down the inside of James Wilson there through 15. What an incredible move from the Aston Martin driver, as I think Dylan Hartley may try to make a similar move to the other AlphaTauri.
Yeah, nicely done. Just outside of the points position to P12, so he's fighting very, very well in that Aston Martin. Both Red Bulls next to each other on the track as well, fighting for that final points position.
Big dive down the inside of turn 1 for Jay, but doesn't make it stick. And it'll be, a huge snap of oversteer there from Andre Bray. We were just on board with Jay, and he had a huge moment. How he's managed to keep this track on, how he's managed to keep the car on the track, I don't know.
No, that was a massive moment there for Andre Bray, and he's actually gained a lot of time on Joel from that incident, which is rather weird, but he's obviously going well, even if he had that little mistake there.
Alberto Modenese tries to send it down the inside of Kevin O'Mara. In doing so, has lost a position to Dylan Hartley, but he's managed to get it back. Now the inside, Dylan's going to try and send it. Who is going to come out in front of turn 11? Is mediums versus softs, Alpine versus Aston Martin, and 2 Red Bulls in front of these drivers. It is a 3v1 against Jay Robinson, who doesn't have the DRS down towards turn 12.
Yeah, the Red Bulls are almost boxing in that Aston Martin there, but he's got past one of them with Jay and Kevin up into P10 as well. So there's lots of battles going on between these Red Bull boys at the moment. And is Alberto going to send it? No, it was so close.
A lovely dive down the inside of Dylan Hartley to get past 2 of them. Ooh. Obviously, Alberto then using the track to get back in front of Dylan. He'll have to give the position, and 2 positions gained now for the Alpine driver.
Yeah, Dylan obviously on those soft tyres going well, gaining lots of positions after his start, which was not very good at all.
Yeah, I mean, his teammate is out of the session because of that incident through the first sector. Taylor Hume in the Williams car, he's had a pretty decent start. He's never seen himself so high in a Kenco F1 race.
Absolutely, up in P7 once again. These soft tyres looking like they were the good choice for the start of the race, even though in qualifying we were debating that all throughout the sessions. Obviously, Torben's just lost 2 position, and he's 4 seconds behind the Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, once again, ignore the leaderboard. This is F1 2021 being F1 2021, and putting Joel in P1 when he isn't, and now putting him down to P14 when he also isn't. So ignore that on the leaderboard, but Torben Schutt is in P4, and it is the 2 Aston Martins as Matthew McCall is out of the session.
Yeah, that's a full safety car. He's out, coming out of turn 3, so one of the S is causing another incident by the looks of it.
Yeah, we're on board with James Wilson, who's directly behind the safety car there. As he was coming out to the pits, obviously the safety car is the first person on the exit of the pitch. Ben Mitchell gone from bad to worse, and it is drive-through for the McLaren driver. But as I was saying, James Wilson here, he was behind the safety car. He was in the pits, and the safety car pulled out right in front of him, and I'm surprised that they didn't touch then.
Yeah, the safety car almost causing another incident in the race, but luckily he got out of the way, and he's just pit by the looks of it to come onto a fresh set of soft tyres.
That really benefits him because he doesn't lose the time of the Delta, and we'll see the first leaders. Looks like Reggie J's coming into the pits. Will Stein double stack and also come to the pits? Yes, it's a double stack from Alfa Romeo, so we'll stay on board and see how good this pit stop is. It needs to be quick for Reggie J, otherwise it's going to really be a detriment to Stein.
I feel like they've timed this absolutely perfect. Torben Schutt following them into the pit lane as well. So is Stein going to get held up at all? He does.
Oh, it's quite considerably. It's quite considerably as well. Ben's got another drive through. I'm not sure if this is true from the game, but yeah, look at that. That's like 4 or 5 seconds. Torben Schutt had to replace his front wing, which is why he's still behind.
That's interesting. He must have caught some damage going into turn 1 that we didn't quite catch, but he definitely struggled on clutch release, and he got a lot of Wilson by the looks of it. He just was not moving anywhere. Yeah,
so we got some messages from fans saying that James Wilson overtaking the safety car should have been a penalty. No, it shouldn't, because it had the green bar on the top and was allowing people to go past because they're not the leader. So if you're not the leader and there's a green bar on top, you are allowed... right. Is this Joel? Sam, can you just confirm whether this is Joel or not?
Joel, on my screen, is driving absolutely perfectly. He's not in any form of wall. He's coming through the first sector at the moment.
Yeah, so on my screen, Joel just drove into a wall. So ignore this. This is not Joel. That is a ghost, apparently.
Yeah.
But here is the pack here. We've got Max Chapman from Ian Hanmore. It's a Mercedes 1-2 the first time this season. Could this play really well into Ian's hands?
Absolutely, with Adam Forbes up into P3 as well. He was saying in the paddock at the start of the race he was not enjoying this track, but I didn't think I bet he didn't think he'd be up there in P3. But interestingly, neither of the Mercedes deciding to come into pit to replace their soft tyres. They think that is the best tyre to be on for the safety car restart.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, I don't understand why the people, well, why the Alfa Romeos first decided to double stack and give up the back-to-back position which they had, which was really benefiting them, and also to go into the mediums, which definitely won't go to the end from here.
No, interesting strategy choices committing to that two-stop by the looks of it are the Alfa Romeos, and yeah, that double stack really didn't pay off in the end. There needed to be a lot more of a gap, but obviously you're not allowed to slow down on the track to get that gap, so it was a tricky situation. But Stein now down in P11 when he was running in P3, I believe.
The Torben electing to go onto the hard tyres. It was the mediums for him. The hards probably will go to the end. So it's realistically now Mercedes in P1 and P2, ignore Joel Foxall. Mercedes in P1 and P2 on a possible one-stopper versus Ferrari on a one-stopper, but on the hard tyres from the start.
Yeah, so the Mercedes thinking they're going to box later and have better tyres towards the end of the race. But obviously they're not going to have the advantage of pitting under the safety car and losing so much less time. But obviously for the restart, track position is so important. Max obviously weighing that up, as well as Ian. And now it's a Mercedes 1-2. I mean, we wouldn't have expected this, to be honest, a few laps ago for Ian to be up in P2.
I mean, I'm not too sure where exactly Joel Foxall is, because on my end he's in P15 in front of James Wilson with the with that safety car incident, but I'm not too sure where he is. But currently it's Ferrari running in P12 and P15, ignore the P15, and Mercedes running P1 and 2. So realistically the ball is in the game. The ball is in the game. No, that's not how it is. The game is in the ball of the hands of Mercedes. Mercedes have the upper hand here.
Absolutely, obviously track position important. And on my end, we have the Ferraris in P12 and P13 with Torben Schutt leading them at the moment. So Joel sitting nicely behind his teammate, and they're both on a fresh set of hard tyres.
And what tyres are they on?
Hard, both on hard tyres.
So both of them on the one-stop strategy, possibly. Unless they go for soft at the end, I'm not too sure. Today we've been given the notification that the safety car is coming into the pit, so we won't have any spinners like last week, hopefully, not realising that the safety car is coming in. We're on board with Max Chapman, and since you did it so eloquently last week, do you want to talk us through the safety car restart, Sam?
Yeah, the safety car this week giving us a lot of time to prepare for the restart, as well as all of the drivers. Max Chapman, obviously an experienced veteran now doing the safety car restarts. He's going to have to let the safety car go. He's got the comfort of his teammate behind him as well, so no doubt there's been discussions about tactics on the restart. Adam Forbes in P3, an opportunist, no doubt, maybe wanting to get a move done on Ian, as that is a realistic battle. And Max has gone. He came coming out of turn 20, he bolted, and he's got a huge gap to his teammate as well, by about a second, and Adam by about half a second. So that's a really good restart there for the Mercedes driver. Andre Abreu going into turn 1, getting the move done on Taylor Humes, which was a really nice move there, obviously on those medium tyres after boxing in the safety car period.
Looking towards the rear of the grid, we've got the Ferrari of Torben Schutt. He is
Max.
behind. I'm not too sure what's going on here. Max, I'm not too sure. Tell me, Sam, tell me.
Max is retired.
Max is retired from the
I think
session.
he's crashed.
Max is out of the session once again. What is going to happen? That puts Ian into P1. He had an incredibly bad qualifying. Sorry to Ian for that, but he said he was going to go P5. He went to P9. That's not what he wanted. Now is Ian in P1, Adam Forbes in P2, and Reggie J. Hargreaves behind them in the final podium position.
Yeah, Max looked like he crashed out coming out of turn 3, similar to the incident that cost Matthew McCall. So Max is out of the race.
Yeah, sorry that we missed that on the stream, but that is unfortunate. 2 weeks running that the championship contender was out of this race. This lends really well to those of the drivers who are currently running up in the top 10.
He got the restart absolutely perfected, Max. He gained about a second on his teammate. I don't think Ian was expecting him to bolt quite there, but Ian now up into P1, Adam Forbes in P2, and Reggie G. Hargreaves up into P3.
Yeah, Stein making an incredible move around the outside of Matthew Widdowson. He's going to stick it. This was like what we saw with Hamilton and Verstappen. Matthew Widdowson with the inside line and the soft tyres, and that is Taylor Hume coming back onto the circuit. That was incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, the Williams driver having a spin and almost crashing into most of the drivers out on track. Luckily, they avoided him.
Crashed into Joel on my screen, but I'm not too sure if he did actually crash into Joel, but Joel's been in the wars. Whilst we're at it, Rich J. Hargreaves has got past Adam Forbes into turn 1.
Yeah, that's Adam now back down into P3, but nonetheless, Adam doing a very solid job. But that was so important for Reggie J with him on those medium tyres. So important for his strategy now. He's going to fight with Ian now for the lead.
Yeah, well, I can't believe it. Ian is gapping Reggie J. Hargreaves by about 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, very good pace from the Mercedes. Obviously, a very good setup on that car and some good pace from the driver. And Reggie J looking like he's swerving to get some temperature in these medium tyres.
Absolutely. Joel Foxall, is he in P12?
I'm seeing him in P11, still behind his teammate who's in P10. So yeah, that's what I've got.
I think that may be James Wilson who's trying to get past Jay Robinson here. Both the AlphaTauri and Red Bull drivers fighting. It looks like he's lapped on my screen, but I'm not too sure why they'd be fighting this much if he's lapped.
No, I'm seeing that James Wilson in P15, whereas Jay Robinson's in P12. So James Wilson's trying to unlap himself, and so far that was successful.
Yeah, I mean, it was really tight racing. Talking about tight racing, James Wilson's teammate there has gone wide. He'll have to give the position to Stein Botterweg. Maybe he won't, because Stein also went wide there. It is 3 wide through turn 17. They come together and they just stay apart there. And he's round. Matthew Widdowson is round. I told you that they'd come together, and this time he came off worse. Yeah,
going into turn 19, it was Stein that pretty much closed the door on Matthew and spun him.
Yeah, absolutely. Ian Hanmore now still leading by 0.8 of a second. There was a 3/10 gap there, 3/10 greater gap there last lap than there was this lap. Ian is losing pace on the softs compared to the mediums of Reggie J.
Yeah, Reggie J really gaining the Mercedes. Obviously, Ian not quite got the pace. Maybe these soft tyres starting to degrade slightly, and he's obviously been on those since the start, and Reggie J's really catching up to the back of the Mercedes now.
We're on board with Dylan Hartley, who's chasing down to Adam Forbes. Adam was second on the restart. If Dylan gets past him down into turn 11, he will be into P5, and it is a good move by Dylan Hartley. If Adam can get the DRS now down towards turn 13, he may be in front. Let's see who comes out on top here. It is Dylan, unfortunately, for Adam, and that's just really unfortunate there for the Haas driver.
Absolutely a good move there for Dylan, but Ian Hanmore now in P2. They're fighting for the lead, but looks like Reggie J's got it done on those medium tyres, so that's obviously very impressive. Be on a harder compound and overtaking. Very nicely done.
Does Ian go into the pits now? He's been overtaken for the lead. He needs an action plan, whether to try and fight back on the softs or whether he just doesn't have the tyre life.
Well, the sole running Mercedes now, which is quite surprising, second week in a row. The strategy is all in his hands now. He can do whatever he wants. There's no commitment to protect his teammate, but he's going around again, not deciding that lap 9 is the perfect time to replace these soft tyres.
Yeah, that's really weird for Ian. I mean, there's an open pit window now between lap 10 and 12 for the mediums on a 2-stop strategy. So will we see Ian come into the pits in a short while? Alfa Romeo 74, Reggie J. Hargreaves has come into the pits to fit those medium tyres. We were questioning whether that was a smart strategy because it put Stein back down in P8, but ultimately this has given them the lead.
Yeah, I mean, it was the right decision for the lead car to come into the pit under the safety car, absolutely, but it sort of sacrificed his teammate at the moment. I mean, Stein is coming through the field pretty well, but nonetheless, that track position on the restart is so important, and he obviously lost out to his teammate through that.
Where's Torben Schutt? He's back in P9. That's barely into the points. He needs to be fighting for this race, right?
Yeah, Torben Schutt, P9, Joel P10. With Max out of the race now, this is so important for the championship. It's another opportunity for the Ferrari boys to take a huge chunk of confidence out of that Mercedes team and get some good points on the board.
I don't understand if they're just sacrificing the first half of the race for the second half. Kevin O'Mara and Stein Botterweg both have the slipstream and the DRS on Adam Forbes. This is going to be a double whammy, whether it's going to be too wide. Into turn 13, we're going to see Stein has the edge over Kevin O'Mara. It gets really close there between them. Kevin is in front by the end of turn 12. Into 13, is Stein going to stick it round the outside? Yes, he is, but he's not going to be able to keep the position.
Yeah, obviously a double overtake there on Adam, which is a shame for the Haas driver who was up in P2 on the restart, but nonetheless, Stein prevailing through and getting those overtakes done, which is absolutely necessary to rectify his position, because you know he shouldn't be there.
That's a huge snap of oversteer from Adam, and he's out through turn 15. How has he not destroyed his car there? We just saw him and he's drifting all over the place. Unfortunately for Adam, fortunately for Adam, he's right on the entry to the pits, but for Adam, that will be his shot at the podium, well and truly gone.
Yeah, into the pits now, and he's got a 5-second penalty for speeding. Not a good few corners there for the Haas driver. He's going to have to replace his front wing, and yeah, he's gone onto the hard tyres by the looks of it.
Meanwhile, Ian's been overtaken by Andre Abreu, so it is currently Reggie J from Andre, and then Ian in the final podium position, yet to stand on the podium in Kenco F1 this year or last year for Ian. So he really needs to capitalise and push on these soft tyres, but I don't understand why he's waited so long to go into the mediums, unless he's waiting for the drivers in front to pit, because they might not go to the end.
Yeah, I really don't know, to be honest. Unless he is really extending this soft stint throughout the race, but I'm waiting for these medium tyre runners to pit again, then he's going to lose out so much time. As you can see, he's lost 2 positions in the space of about 3 or 4 laps. So he's got a lot of work to do. I don't know why the Mercedes didn't decide to box under the safety car, even if one of them boxed. I really don't know. But yeah, Ian down in P3 and losing time because of these 10-lap-old soft tyres now.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. It's a difficult question to ask when you've got your teammate in front of you. Torben Schutt has fought his way back up into the field. He's in P5 with a one-stop strategy possibly on the cards for Ferrari. We were questioning whether it would pay off for him when Ian and Max were P1 and 2, and they were P11 and 12. But I don't know, P5 is pretty good for Torben.
Yeah, P5 and P6 for Torben and Joel at the moment. So the 2 Ferraris driving in tandem as Kevin O'Mara, one of the original soft tyre runners, come in to the pit. So this is going to be important information now, as Ian's also pitted on the start.
Yeah, this has triggered the undercut now. If the drivers on the medium strategy don't extend their stint, this is the time for them to pit and go onto the mediums or go back onto another pair of mediums or onto the hards to the end. We'll see how Ian's pace is. There's a yellow flag in Sector 3 as Adam Forbes is well and truly out of the session now. What Ian doesn't want is a safety car. If this brings out the safety car, that'll be the worst thing for Ian right now. So we'll keep watching the safety car boards and see if they flash it with a flashing yellow SC. For now, they haven't done.
Yeah, that would be awful timing for the Mercedes, but it looks like there isn't going to be a safety car. There's a yellow flag coming out of turn 17, and the car has been cleared by the looks of it. So no safety car. That would have been awful for Ian, though, considering he's just pitted.
So Torben Schutt's in P4. Does that mean that Joel's in P5?
He is in P5, still behind his teammate.
So currently, in terms of the constructors, they'd be picking up the equivalent points of a race win here. So P4 and 5 would give you in the region of just over 20 points, which is obviously 25 for a win. So that would basically knock out any chance of Max being able to get one win ahead in the season.
Yeah. It is. It's huge. 2 weeks in a row now, Max is DNF'd. I mean, you would never expect that at the start of the season as well. Not the start that Max would have wanted at all. And the 2 Ferraris just, keeping their heads down, very, very calculated races, and they're just collecting so many more points.
Stein's gone incredibly wide on the exit of 20. Now towards turn 1. Remember, we haven't got DRS down this back straight. Oh, sorry, we have got DRS down this back straight, but it wasn't really that effective there, that turn. But we're on board with Torben Schutt as he chases down Stein Botaway. Talk us through his lap, Sam.
Yeah, this is obviously important now for Torben Schutt if he wants to get those podium positions. Today, he's going to have to get his moves done on Stein, obviously, and he's on those hard tyres, Stein on the medium tyres. Going through the S's, you can see the amount of time that the Ferrari is gaining on the Alfa Romeo, so some good stuff there. And he's just going to be calculated. He knows that he's got the pace advantage. He's gained a lot of time in the last few laps, so he's just got to pick the right moment to get this overtake done. And this could be one of the good moments, using the back straight from turn 11 to turn 12, as well as the DRS. He's got the DRS and using his ERS, he's gaining on the Alfa Romeo. This looks like it could be a pretty easy move. He goes down the inside, and even before the braking zone, he's ahead. But the Alfa Romeo actually fighting back. But looks like Torben Schutt has got that done.
Going to dive down the inside though, and there's a little bit of contact there between the Alfa Romeo. He gets all squirrelish there. Does Stein Botaweg, but it is Torben Schutt leading from Stein, and then I think it may be I think it may be Joel Fox all behind. That boosts their points even more as Torben is into the podium positions on possibly a one-stop strategy. Remember, Andre Abreu is still yet to pit in this race, so effectively Torben is net P2, and if Alfa Romeo 74 Reggie J. Hargreaves is going to pit again, he's net P1.
Absolutely, and unfortunately you can't see it on the stream, but Joel now very close to the back of Stein, so this could be a good move for him in the upcoming corners.
Yeah, you'll have to keep us updated on that. As if we're a radio station, we're watching Matthew Widdowson and Ian Hammore going tit for tat here. It's Matthew on the medium tyres, only the sorry, the only remaining map in the session after we lost Matthew McCall through the S section.
Absolutely, and obviously Matthew's been on these medium tyres from the start of the race, so they're going to be much more worn than Ian Ham was, but nonetheless, in the braking zone, Matthew gaining a lot of time on the Mercedes, obviously more confident under the brakes, and I have to say this AlphaTauri looking so much better now with the chassis damage that they found rectified.
Yeah, absolutely, and obviously starting from the back of the grid, he's up to P8, so that's a net 12 position gain there for the Alpha Tauri. Whether he straps a new pair of boots on and goes for it, as I'm not too sure whether Stein and Joel are fighting there, as I saw him go over to the left to possibly defend a position for a car that wasn't there.
A very aggressive defending there from Stein, and they actually did touch, in fact, and Stein very aggressively pulling over to the left, and Joel had literally nowhere to go, but they're still fighting, are Joel and Stein. And yeah, it's hard to describe when you can't see it, but Stein back up into P4.
Right, so we're watching Jay Robinson and Dylan Hartley down towards turn 12. The ex-teammate Jay Robinson had a lot to go on to Dylan Hartley. Squeezed him a little bit into the inside, very hard racing. We've seen a lot of this from Red Bull as of lately. They've not had the greatest starts to the races, which means when they do get in when they do get in a one-on-one or in a battle with another driver, they really need to capitalize on it, and thus you see them battling very, very difficultly, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely, and you're right. It's necessary for them to have good, strong races, and the overtaking is so important with them struggling slightly in qualifying, other than obviously when Kevin got his pole position in Mexico, which was obviously outstanding for the team, but not been as consistent through the qualifying sessions after Mexico. And yeah, so that's led to them having to be very aggressive during the races.
We're on board with Reggie J. Hargreaves, a dominant performance from him ever since we lost the leader, Max Chapman. But he's down the straight and he's losing a little bit of time and control down the straight, whether that's to do with any of the aero setup or just the lack of DRS on the car that's making him a little bit more skittish. I don't know, but he didn't look to be completely confident on that loud pedal.
Yeah, I see what you mean there. For Reggie J, but he's obviously he's in clean air in P1. He's going pretty well. Andre behind him by 3.3 seconds. So at the moment, all is good up in P1.
So we're looking through turns 16 and 17. He's about 4 seconds behind us, Andre Abreu, which you wouldn't really get dirty air. But if he was to get dirty air, what does that mean?
Oh, you definitely don't want the dirty air. It's going to increase the temperature of your tyres and cause them to wear much quicker, which they don't want at all, especially Andre Abreu. He's going to conserve these medium tyres and push them until the end of the stint so that he can commit to the one-stop strategy. So he doesn't want to get too close to the back of the Alfa Romeo if he knows that he can't overtake him as well. You know, you've got to be strategic with this and just stay back and avoid that dirty air to ensure that it doesn't raise the temperature of your tyres and therefore ruin your strategy.
So why is the slipstream so good and the dirty air bad? I don't understand.
Well, the slipstream obviously is almost like punching a hole through the air, and it means that there's less air resistance on your own car, which essentially means that you're losing less time than the car in front of you whilst going through the air. So the slipstream is really important, and if you're in the slipstream of the car, it usually means that you're faster than them anyway. So the overtake is good there, and then, you know, once you've got the overtake done, you can recover from being in that dirty air for so long. The tyre temperatures will start to come down, and you can be on your merry way. Yeah,
so that's why they implemented the DRS system back in 2011. The drag reduction system here, you see the rear wing opens to give them 14 kilometers an hour extra down that pit straight, or sorry, down any straight really that has it. But that's to offset the dirty air, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, the DRS is there to encourage overtaking, which these heavily you know, aerodynamic cars sometimes struggle with, just because there are so many intricate details and parts on these cars. It just makes it hard to overtake because it's causing all this turbulence off of that rear wing, and it just makes the wash of the car very difficult to overtake it.
Well, I only ask because it's been very stagnant for the past few laps, as cars have really struggled to get past since Dylan Hartley. Now we're watching Andre Abreu, the first pit stop of his race. I'm not too sure what happened there. Very slow there from the Aston Martin crew. He's onto the soft tyres, so he's going to try and go 11 laps to the end. It is possible because we've seen it with Ian Hammer.
Yeah, soft tyres, interesting. I wasn't expecting that, to be honest with you, but interesting stuff. So he's got to do 11 laps, as you say, on these soft tyres now. And also, you want to get some positions back. He was obviously running up in P2, so you want to get as close to that as possible.
Dylan Hartley into the pits for the second time this race. He is going on to the medium tyres, so he didn't fancy whatever he had on his car. Maybe a puncture or a slow puncture or something like that, but it doesn't seem sensible for him to pit once again, even though he was on the medium tyres.
No, maybe he's just thinking a fresh set of rubber might be able to get him through the field easier. He's obviously in P10, so he's in those points positions even after, well, a big snap of oversteer there for Dylan. That could have been race ending, to be honest. But he's obviously in those points even though he's taken that pit stop.
Talking about race ending, is that James Wilson through sector 2? Yes, it is. He was last by 40 seconds there to Kevin O'Mara. He's done one stop in this race, and surely he'll have to stop again on those soft tyres. You see the flat spot just as he goes round. You see just a little bit of flicking there, a flat spot because of that spin in Sector 2. He's got the blue flags. He'll have to give the position back to Ian Hamill. They collide there, the AlphaTauri and Mercedes driver. But that's just really unfortunate for James. He spun once or twice this race. Starting from P15, he's technically gained a position even if he was to retire. But yeah, unfortunate for the AlphaTauri driver.
Yeah, not planning out well for him at the moment for James Wilson, as you say, down in P14. So he'll have to consider now what he does. Those soft tyres looking very difficult.
Well, I'm going to have to interrupt you, Sam. Here he comes. Stein Botterwick into the pits to set another set of medium tyres on. To the end, it will be this time. There's 10 laps to go. That puts Jay Robinson in P5. Andre Abreu in P3 with Torben Schutt and Joel Fuxall. P2 and 3 for Joel Fuxall and Torben Schutt, I'm not sure.
Yes, absolutely. Torben Schutt and Joel Fox running in tandem, and they are P2 and 3 respectively. Joel is about 3.5 seconds behind his teammate at the moment.
So, are we going to see another pit stop from Reggie J? Now is the time where if he pits, he will not be in clean air. So, he has to extend the stint, or like you can see Torben there in the back. So, is he going to stick it out? Is 8 seconds enough to stick it out?
I'm not too sure. Looks like he's going to have to make this decision very, very quickly. Obviously, he's been on those medium tyres now for 12 laps, and can they go another 10? I think that's a massive, massive ask. So he's going to have to probably come into the pits to maybe go to a soft tyre, and which will obviously be nice and fast for him.
Well, there's another yellow flag in Sector 2. Is that Alberto Modenese? We see him dropping a few positions from Dylan, and now for Ben. Is he going to come into the pits? Yes, he is. It's pit stop time for Alfa Romeo number 74, Reggie J. Hargreaves. This is critical. We're on board with Torben Schutt. He will fly past with ease as he comes past the pit exit. Torben Schutt and Joel Foxall will be net P1 and P2 here on hard tyres. We criticised it when it happened, but perhaps that wasn't the greatest thing to do.
Yeah, maybe you're right there. And obviously, Reggie J got onto another set of medium tyres, the same as his teammate. But both Ferraris now running P1 and P2. Andre Abreu as well getting past Reggie J under the pit stop phase. So Andre Abreu back into P3.
Andre on the softs as well. So we saw his soft pace in Paul Ricard. He had an incredible amount of pace on the softs at the end, didn't he?
He certainly did, and he's probably trying to duplicate that once again here in the US, and he's going very well at the moment, only now 5 seconds behind Joel, who's in P2, so he's going very, very well, and he's gaining a lot of time.
Where have those 19 laps gone, Sam? I was just 5 minutes ago, it was the first lap, and we saw a couple incidents into turn 1. We're on board with Andre Abreu. I'll go ahead and talk you through. He's now down towards turn 11. Good exit for him. He's got no ERS left in his system, the energy recovery system, which is part of the MGUK kinetic and MGUH heat system, turns the heat and the speed of the braking down into electrical and chemical energy for these F1 cars to use, because they are hybrids nowadays, aren't they, Sam?
They absolutely are, and the ERS is such an important component for the overtaking. They get that boost when they trigger it, and yeah, that really aids overtaking, and it's so important, and it's one of the best tools that the F1 drivers have in the car.
A huge snap of oversteer there from Andre Abreu. We've seen that plenty of time from this driver through turns 14 and 15. He's tried to get the power down just a little bit too quick. Now he's through 19 towards 20 at the moment, but through 14 and 50 he got the power down really quickly, and he's going for it. He's absolutely rubbering these tyres into the track.
He certainly is. He knows that there's 9 or so laps left in the race, so if he wants to get back up into his P2 position, he's going to fight very, very hard, and he's doing just that, and he's gained about 1.5 seconds on Joel in the last 2 laps.
So if we talk back to what I was on about a few seconds ago, where it's a few seconds ago, I'm losing my time perception here. A few minutes ago, we were talking about the hybrid systems of the engine. Many people criticised that when it came into Formula 1, and I think a lot of people, the old heads and the people who watched Formula 1 back in the day of the V12s, the V10s and even the V8s, just a few years ago before the regulation change in 2014, they heavily criticised the fact that it was going electric. They didn't want it to become Formula E, but I don't know, I think it's a really positive step, and it adds a whole new element, not only to the engineering side, but also to the driving side. You really got to manage that ERS, haven't you?
Yeah, you certainly do, and these are the most complex, most advanced engines F1's ever seen, and I think they're, you know, they're great for the sport. The ERS component makes it interesting, and drivers have so much control over that part of the car, and obviously assist them with overtaking, which everybody wants to see.
Ben Mitchell has recovered back to P9 after the 2 drive-through penalties. He had to serve under the safety car, which just made his spin on the first lap even worse than it was. Taylor Hume, the lone Williams in this race, comes in to fit the medium tyres. The colour compound on the tyre changing miraculously as the pit lane crew touched it to take it off, and it's the medium for driver number 29.
Yeah, most drivers now that they're doing their final pit stops for their strategy, and that was Taylor Hume now, and that Williams, as you say, coming out in P13. He's sort of driving his own race, very, very lonely out there, 20 seconds behind the Red Bull of Kevin O'Mara now.
So, what do you think about Torben Schutt and Joel? Oh my goodness, the track limits there for Torben, using all of the track as he can, but there's no track limits warnings for this week except for what the game gives you. So, I mean, very smart for Ferrari. He's approaching back markers.
Yeah, he's going to have to get through this traffic nice and easily to avoid affecting his teammate, because Andre Abreu is almost now a second behind Joel, so he's got so much more pace on these soft tyres.
Right, so tell me, because roughly, does that mean that Joel's 4 seconds behind Torben?
Yeah, Joel 4.7 seconds behind Torben Schutt at the moment, and Andre Abreu, no DRS on Joel on this lap. He's 1 second behind him though, so the overtake is almost imminent.
Taylor Hume letting Torben Schutt back into this. We're going to watch Andre Abreu overtaking Imaginary. This is like time trial. They're fighting against a ghost on my screen.
Yeah, it's very, very weird. Unfortunately, not good for the stream at all, but he's 8 tenths behind now as Andre Abreu. Not the place where he won't be doing that overtake is here. He won't be doing that probably down the back straight coming into turn 12, but a massive snap of oversteer. Andre Abreu is still struggling with the rear end of his car.
Talking about the rear end of the car of the Aston Martin, Andre Abreu's teammate, Alberto Modenese, with a spin in Sector 1, you see those hard tyres really lit up. The hard tyres are incredibly difficult to get the heat into them, into the operating range, and he's round again. And that's going to be off the racing line. Is he going to get back on? Oh, that's so dangerous there. Actually, there's a collision. Never mind, that's Joel Foxhall's fake car. Never mind, ignore that. It's like, what's going on? Oh, that's huge. That's a huge crash on my screen. On nobody else's screen, but on my screen, that's a huge crash.
Yeah, no, I'm seeing no crashes. Alberto got onto the track quite safely, but Kevin O'Mara getting past him. That is real life. Kevin O'Mara back into P10.
Not too sure what's going on with that. Codemasters, fix your game.
Honestly, Andre is 3 tenths behind Joel now as they approach turn 11. This could be where the overtake gets done. No doubt the Aston Martin will have that DRS, and they're so close.
Unfortunately, there's a yellow flag coming up, so if he does have the DRS, which he does, the green flags are being shown, so he will be able to overtake. Talk me through it, Sam. What's going on?
It's almost done already for Andre Abreu. He got the move done even before the braking zone, and he's up into P2. Joel now P3, obviously not got that pace on the hard tyres versus the soft tyres of that Aston Martin.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been dominant from, well, it was dominant from Reggie J until he stopped a second time. I don't understand where the thinking was pitting on the mediums 3 laps into the race.
Yeah, I really don't know, to be honest. I couldn't answer that either, to be honest with you. He had to commit to that one stop from that point if he wanted to pit there, but he didn't. He decided to go on those medium tyres, and now he was in the lead, but he's in P4.
Right, 5 laps to go now. Torben Schutt leads the race. It's Joel Foxhall. No, that's incorrect. It's Andre Abreu, then Joel Foxhall. So Aston Martin lining up the second time. Aston Martin for the second time got their eyes on a podium position.
Absolutely, and Torben Schutt 4.2 seconds in front of the Aston Martin. So, you know, he's obviously, Andre's got some good pace, so there's potential for him to fight the other Ferrari and maybe even go for the lead. But only 5 laps left in the race.
I am really surprised with that, with whether that was penalised or not. I mean, we can't do anything because we've told the drivers that the track limits is by what the game says, and I don't know. I think what what Reggie J just did was questionable, but I don't know. The stewards said it's all right.
Yeah, absolutely. The game, as you say, deciding the track limits, and this is on regular, and they're able to push it as far wide as that, and every single driver can do it. So it's not like some drivers benefiting from it and others not. Obviously, some being a bit more creative, you could say, than others.
I mean, you're absolutely right. This is all about what Formula One's about, not necessarily track extending, but more about innovations and thinking outside the box. It's not as much of a physical sport as people it's much more of a physical sport than people assume it to be, but it's also a very mental sport as well. You've got the strategy aspect, you've got the actual development aspect. Is very, very scientifical when you come to thinking about how the systems are developed. You've got DAS and the movable front and rear wings, which you've seen with Red Bull, and it's all about loopholes, isn't it? And this is one of the loopholes.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, the drivers pushing it as far as they possibly can, and it's a championship at the end of the day, so they're gonna try their best to get as much time on the track as possible.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right in saying that everybody has the opportunity to do it, and we've seen numerous drivers doing it. It's not just like it is just Reggie Jane, it's not like it's just Charlie, Torben Schutt, but it's one of those things where people need to learn, but not learn, but people need to experiment and find just where the limit is.
Absolutely, and Torben has done that absolutely perfectly. I mean, when we were riding on board with him, you could see how far off the track he was, but the game was allowing it, and at the end of the day, that is where the buck stops this week in the USA.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very American, isn't it? Just let you do your thing, and we'll see about that later. But Matthew Widdowson, I don't know, he's gained 8 positions from the start, so decent stint here for the AlphaTauri driver, but realistically, his teammate has been the person that's been least off today.
Yeah, absolutely, and Ian now's had a spin by the looks of it. He's down in P8, coming out of turn 9. It's like he spun, and his medium tyres looking like they're very battered. It's not good for Mercedes.
Ian, you were up in P1 at one point in this race, and he's down in P9. Unfortunately for him, his previous teammate Ben Mitchell is very far behind, though. There's a big gap there between P8 and P9, the second to last and penultimate points positions here, so Ian's pretty safe in that P8 position with 3 laps to go in this race. It's Torben Schutt from Andre Abreu, and James Wilson is out of the race. He's the one who was possibly losing out because of not taking that penalty with the
safety car.
And that's it. There's a safety car with 3 laps to go. Oh my!
That's a safety car. Stein's diving into the pit lane.
This is a full safety car, yes or no?
Yeah, full safety car
with 3 laps to go.
That's very rare.
This is incredible. Could we finish the race under the safety car? Is this possibly what might happen? Will Torben Schutt and Andre Abreu be given P1 and 2 and Joel Foxall P3 under the safety car at the finish? Well, Torben has to go into the pits. There's no doubt about it. He has to go into the pits. But if Andre on the soft tyres stays out, then he's effectively given him the win.
Well, I'm not sure if he does have to pit, because it's so close to the end that I think track position is much more important. But I'm so shocked to see that a safety car has been called with 3 laps to go.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Normally, a safety car in F1 2021 will last about the duration of 3 laps before it decides it wants to come in. So, well, keep your seats on, folks, because this could either be a really exciting finish or a finish under the safety car.
Yeah, I imagine it's going to be like a 1-lap shootout under the safety car and 1 lap non-safety car, and that's going to be the race.
Yeah, I mean, who has fastest lap so far?
I am not too sure. Right. But lots of drivers coming into the pits to get those soft tyres on Stein, Jay Robinson, Dylan Hartley, Ian.
It makes sense for it makes sense for the drivers who are down in the lower points positions, who are just past the pits, try and get the heat into the tyres, get that advantage to like bunny hop the other drivers. Torben Schutt is into the pits. I think that's the best thing, because Andre's going to stay out. Well. Yeah, so this is the best thing for Ferrari, because I mean, unless the pit stop goes catastrophically there, I mean, I don't understand. Like, if Andre stayed out, Andre has stayed out, Reggie J have stayed out. But what's happened? What's Torben Schutt doing? Oh, no, never mind. Glitch your mind. But like, it's going to be a 1-lap shootout, right? These drivers know that this can't finish under the safety car unless they would have stayed out.
Yeah, so Torben Schutt sort of secured P3 and P4, but Reggie J back up into P2 now. It's going to be one, maybe 2 laps for these guys to get back in front of each other. So it's going to be very, very tight, but they're going to be on fresh soft tyres, are the Ferrari and both Ferraris,
Well,
but with Andre and Reggie J on softer mediums.
realistically, Andre is in the worst position possible here. He's going to give everybody behind the toe towards turn 12 with the without the DRS because it's a safety car start. But with 2 cars behind on fresher tyres, he's really hoping that Reggie J. Hargreaves does something silly and holds up the other 2 Ferraris behind him.
Yeah, I mean, that was very time-critical strategy decisions had to be made there, and both Ferraris deciding that they needed to come into the pits, which probably is the right call. Obviously, they've sacrificed track position by doing that.
Look at that. Alberto Modenese on the hard is the only driver from P12 to P3, other than Matthew Widdowson, not to go onto a new set of softs. Wow.
Yeah. Is he going to be swallowed up on the restart? He's on those hard tyres, 10-lap hard tyres, and literally everybody around him on soft.
There's been some yellow flags there. One for Reggie J. Hargreaves. Well, sorry, a 5-second penalty for Reggie J. Hargreaves for ignoring yellow flags, which could be an overtake under the safety car. That will probably be removed by the stewards because we do remember Torben Schutt being behind. Torben Schutt just spun Reggie J on my screen. I'm not too sure what's going to go on there.
I saw that.
Yep, I'm not too sure what's going on there. No penalty for Torben Schutt, but that's one way to get rid of your competition.
I mean, yeah, that is one way, but not the correct way. And he looks like went right into the side of the Alfa Romeo. And now Reggie J down in the P5, and he's got a 5-second penalty at the moment.
Oh my goodness, talk about the mafia. And the safety car is in this lap. What has happened? He has not backed the pack up at all, Andre Abreu. He's going to be crawling off the start. So realistically, the lapped car of Taylor Hume needs to get out of the way as soon as possible. Andre Abreu is waiting till the last possible moment to shoot, and he's gone. It's Andre Abreu from Torben Schutt, and Torben Schutt with the brand new soft tyres has nobody to get in front. Oh, sorry, has nobody to get past except for Andre Abreu. Will look from the rear wing. Torben Schutt gets so much more rear grip there through turn 2. A huge snap of oversteer from Andre, almost takes Torben Schutt out. I'm not too sure about Joel. Tell me about Joel, Sam.
Joel's in P3 going into turn 1. The 2 Ferraris were side by side, and I thought Joel was going to go around the outside, but he tucked in behind his teammate. Now I think the goal is for the both Ferraris to try and get past his Aston Martin down the back straight.
This is critical now. This is the position where it needs to happen. It's Andre from Torben Schutt, from Joel, from Stein Botterwick, and Alfa Romeo 74, Reggie J. Hargreaves. Jay Robinson's in P5. P7 is Dylan Hartley. So now this is where the move needs to happen. It's P2 and P3 for Ferrari. Can they make it P1 and 2? Torben Schutt isn't gaining down the straight.
You're not gaining much on that Aston Martin. They're both using ERS very, very aggressively. No DRS in to this on this lap, but Torben Schutt under braking, getting a huge snap of oversteer there was Andre Abreu, and they're fighting.
Yeah, this is crazy close as Stein Botterwick tries to go down
Joel's
the inside.
into the lead.
This is an Andre Abreu sandwich here between Torben Schutt, Andre Abreu, and Stein Botterwick. Stein looks like he's going to get the advantage around the outside as well on the brand new soft tyres. I'm not too sure. Did you say Joel was in the lead at some point?
Yeah, Torben and Andre were battling so intensely that Joel just drove right past them, and now he's in P1.
Oh my goodness, Joel might win a race and we might not even see it.
That would be horrific for Joel, but he's up in P1 at the moment. Torben Schutt P2 by 8 tenths, Andre Abreu P3 by 9 tenths.
Stein might dive down the inside, and he certainly does dive down the inside. There's contact there between the Alfa Romeo and the Aston Martin, but a beautiful move down the inside for Stein, and they've spun. He's round. Andre Abreu is round, unfortunately for him, and he's coming back onto the track, and he's just been caught. Oh no. No, right, okay, that didn't happen, but he came back onto the track and was absolutely demolished by Joel Foxall, or Joel Foxall's bot. Down in the middle sectors, all of the drivers who strapped on the new soft tyres gain nothing because everybody else also strapped on the soft tyres.
Yeah, absolutely, but heartbreak for Andre Abreu, who's up in P1, now down in P7, but I hate to tell you, the 2 Ferraris are now fighting. Joel trying to break the slipstream of Torben Schutt, and they're so close on track. This is the final lap, the final opportunity now for Torben to get this win.
Tell us about it, Sam.
Torben's not managed to do it going into turn 12, and unless he gets a good run coming out of turn 13, which he did fighting with Andre, he won't be able to get it done. Joel's still in the lead at the moment.
Reggie J. Hargreaves had a moment through turn 12. That gave Jay Robinson the P3 position. Obviously, that's P4 for us because Stein Botterwick's in P3. Is Joel still ahead? We're going through
Joel
16 and 17. Joel is ahead. Joel might win
Still
a race.
ahead.
Joel might win a race, and we won't know about it. We're coming into the final couple corners. Sam, you gotta call it.
He's ahead. He's ahead. He's won.
So
He's done it.
Joel is around the corner, and he wins a Kenco F1 race for the first time. It pops up for us. Joel has won a race. Torbenshire in P2, Steinbotterweg into P3. Jay Robinson with a great drive to put himself in P4 with Dylan behind in 5th, 6th, and 7th is Alfa Romeo 74 of Reggie J. Hargreaves on those medium tyres. Andre Abreu to the end in P7 after that spin. Ian finishes one position higher than he started here in Kenco F1 this weekend. It's P8 for him, P9 for Ben Mitchell, P10 for Matthew Widdowson. A great recovery drive of 10 positions there. Andre Abreu's got a 20-second time penalty for ignoring yellow flags.
Yeah, it looks like Andre had that penalty, and yeah, that 20-second, that's absolutely huge. I mean, what a wretched race that Aston Martin's had today. He was up in P1, almost fighting for the win with just a few laps to go, and now he's down in P8.
Vindication for Joel Foxall. However, why does it always happen like this way? Joel, well done to you, sir. You've got what you've waited for Spain. You got what you waited from Spain last year. I believe Spain probably was the 3rd race last year. Am I right in saying so?
Yeah, I think it was around that. Obviously, that win is stripped from him, but an incredible drive from Joel, considering he started P11 to P1. Very nicely done, and it's a Ferrari 1-2, crucially, for the championship.
Absolutely, towards the end. That could have been prevented by both the Alfa Romeo drivers. A stroke of bad luck for Reggie J. Hargreaves and Andre Abreu bottling it when it came down to the very wire. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll try and get some interviews. I'm really not sure what's going to go on. Well then, Max Chapman, you drove an incredible start to today's race, but 2 weeks running that you haven't finished and have had the win well and truly taken from you. How does it feel to know that just a tiny mistake cost you the win today?
It's really, really, really frustrating. It's just cold tyres on the restart, and I clipped the inside curb, and I just went round and DNF'd.
So you're saying it was a fault with yourself or a fault with the car?
No, it was a fault of myself. Put the car in the wrong place.
This
Yeah, and I
really
just spun.
is really rare we see mistakes from you. So, I mean, you're normally at the tip-top of your game. Is there anything in your mind this weekend, or is it just pure, you've been put under so much pressure by the Ferraris of lately that you're trying to just get the edge over them?
No, it's not that. It's just I've just had a shocking weekend, in my opinion. I've just been completely off the pace in some places in the race. I was really slow off the start. Didn't do the first lap how I wanted to, and missed my pit window as the safety car came out. So I was on cold tires. Everyone else pitted. The strategy got screwed over from the safety car, but hey ho.
Well, unfortunately for you, that means no points for you, but your teammate got quite a big bunch of points today. How do you feel about him?
Yeah, I'm happy. At least we got some points today. Because the Ferrari's got a 1-2, which is gonna be quite annoying in the constructors. But at least we got some points today, which is good.
Well, good luck for next weekend, and surely you two will break the curse that you've currently got on you.
Yeah, thanks.
Talking to today's race winner, finally, Joel Foxall. How does it feel to be called a race winner?
Oh, it feels incredible. I can't put it in words. It's been a long time coming. It has been a long time coming, and this was this was the race I least expected it. Honestly, I was saying, target for me today was a top 5 finish. Then I was like, okay, Max DNF'd. I'm not sure what happened there, but I straight away said to Charlie and to Svenny, the race engineer, this is on for a 1-2, and me thinking that Charlie would be the lead car because some errors with him being able to see people, and he couldn't see me, so I was having to follow him the whole race, and I knew I had more pace in me. I just couldn't unleash it, and it's just what a race that was, honestly.
Well, Joel, I hate to break it to you, but you're under investigation by the stewards for a possible disqualification into turn 20. How does that make you feel?
We'll see. I don't even know which turn 20 is, to be honest, but we have a lot of footage, and I'm sure we'll find a way to make them realise that it was a mistake. I'm obviously yet to find out what it's for, but we
Okay.
also have a couple things
I'm
to.
pulling your leg, but you're not under
Okay, well
investigation.
that's good. That's good. But
This
anyway,
time, it won't be taken from you, surely. You're a race winner, Joel. You're a race winner.
no one's taken that from me, honestly. Thanks everyone for sticking with me. All the supporters, I know you're out there. Love you all.
So, Sam, surely that means that was not just on our screen. That obviously, Joel, did you say that you couldn't see Charlie?
It was the other way around. Charlie had some very big issues. He couldn't see one of the Alfa Romeos, which obviously caused the incident on the safety car, and he also couldn't see me, which is the biggest issue. But obviously being able to slip inside when him and Andre were fighting put me into the lead, and yeah.
Sam?
Yeah, I mean, we were having issues as well seeing cars. I'm not sure how you managed it whilst driving, but I mean, you finally got your win, and it was. I mean, I could see it. Callum couldn't, but I could see that Torben and Andre were fighting, and you just sort of drove right past them like nothing was happening.
Yeah, they're rookies, not really knowing when to overtake. What can I say?
Yeah, it was very casual. So yeah, a great job, and P11 to P1 as well. So you did it in great style.
Yeah, we take those. We take those.
Very nicely done.
It's weird. It's like fate. I mean, when you finally do get your win, we can't see it.
Yeah.
Well, all that matters is that we know it's a win, and we'll see it on the podium as well. The British anthem alongside the Italian anthem. That's a moment I want to hear very shortly.
Well done, Joel, and congratulations on your first win.
Thank you.
Sam, if you want to talk us through Ben.
Ben, how would you rate your race today?
Pretty bad start.
Yeah.
I won't lie. Pretty bad first half, but the comeback was alright. Got some points. Got fastest lap point at the end as well. So overall, I'm not too unhappy. Could have been better, but
what happened at the start? We obviously saw a collision. Was it between yourself and Dylan?
I think it was definitely one of the Alpines. I haven't had a chance to go back and have a look yet.
Right.
But it sort of gave me flashbacks to last week as well.
Yeah.
I need to avoid the Alpines in future, I think. But yeah, I just ended up in the wall, lost my wing, and then ended up getting 2 drive-through penalties under the safety car as well.
Yeah.
Which didn't help, but
I mean, nonetheless, a pretty good comeback. Looking to the future though, Singapore, how highly do you rate that track? Do you think your car's going to go well round there?
Singapore is scary.
Yeah.
So I'm nervous, but I feel like a lot of people are feeling that way. I know a lot of people don't necessarily enjoy Singapore, so
yeah,
we might see similar to this week. We might see a few incidents, and it could end up being quite dramatic.
and obviously both of you back next week. Hopefully, both McLarens back, which is important for the championship. What are your targets for the championship? I mean, obviously it's early in the season, but you're seeing the likes of Max having a few issues, 2 races in a row now not finishing. What's McLaren and yourself targeting this year?
Now that's a question.
That is a question.
It's difficult because there's so many talented drivers, and it tends to come down to week on week. It's so different at the minute. Obviously, last year Max dominated, but this year we've already seen 2 out of 3 races he's DNF'd.
Yeah.
So it could go either way, but I mean, hopefully as a team we can get some decent points. Maybe not top of the leaderboard, but somewhere in the middle, high middle, would be good.
Very nice. Well, good job today, and look forward to seeing you in Singapore.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for your podium finishers. In P3 today, we've got Stein Botterweg, Kapka of the Alfa Romeo team. It's his first time on the podium in Kenco F1.
Yes, let's go.
In P2, last week's race winner, Charlie Torbenschut from the Ferrari outfit.
Yes, sir.
And in P1, it's Vindication Day, Redemption Day as it was for Daniel Ricciardo, Redemption Day for Joel Foxall, who currently wins his first race here for Kenco F1.
Let me get used to you saying that, Cal.
We've also got Svaney, the race engineer, to collect the Constructors' Trophy for Ferrari.
I'm just very proud of my two drivers today. Very well done.
Well done to both the Ferrari drivers today. It is Joel Foxall in P1. Please stand by for the national anthems. Are we having technical issues?
You can just sing it.
Joel, since you offered?
Think I'll pass.
Hang on. We will rectify this. We'll rectify this for 1 second. So, the national anthem of Britain and of Italy. Quickly open Spotify. Okay. The national anthem of Britain. Congratulations to Joel, Charlie, and the Ferrari team for winning their second race in the second season of Kenco F1, and also to Stein, who did an incredible job to put it on the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for the champagne!